Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to TimeToPlay.com from Power Half Hour, and this is our Say What You Want to Say Empower Half Hour program, and I'm waiting for Erica to come online with us. This is her segment. Erica is a lovely woman. I'm at her at Jackie's basement, and she is just online now. So,
hi, Mrs. Guma.
Hello, Erica. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was just introducing you, and I had said that I met you at Jackie's basement. So Jackie is my daughter. She's 20, and she actually holds a safe and sober environment for people to come and share art and music, and that's where we met Erica, because Erica came and she loves everybody, and so that's how she wound up doing this with us too. So, Erica, you want to introduce yourself in any way?
I'm Erica. I'm 23, and I don't know. I work at Whole Foods now.
We also have somebody else who joined us, 954 area code. You want to introduce yourself? If you want to participate, you're welcome. If you just want to kind of hang out and be part of this, then you can, and interject at any time if you would like to.
I'm Brooke from Sandestin, Florida. I just wanted to kind of listen in. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you this week?
Good. So I heard a lot about you, Brooke, and how wonderful, your participation and your contributions are to this. So that's wonderful. So, Erica, do you want to, so let me just tell everybody, if you're interested, go on TimeToPlay.com. There's all sorts of great articles and things there for you. So just throwing that out there. And we are a not-for-profit corporation that is an advocacy organization for people to enjoy life. And we're working on making everybody's life better. Great. So, Erica, you want to introduce this topic and what the real point of what we're going to talk about today is?
Sure. So this week we decided that we were going to talk about the off switch, which I know that there are different definitions that people think about or how people see what an off switch is. Like, of course, there's lights and certain machines and stuff like that. But when I talk about an off switch, I mean when it comes to your emotional self-control or any type of self-control where you have, like, you should have the power to be able to diffuse the situation. Like, for me, my biggest thing where I had to practice with an off switch, because at first I didn't have one, and a lot of people probably experience this where you don't have an off switch, and whatever the problem may be, instead of it being diffused or you quit or you stop doing it, you feed into it and you just keep going and going and going until you physically can't do it anymore. So for me, it came to my anger, and when I would get angry, I would go for hours. It could be about the smallest little thing. I can't find a shoe, and I would just go and ride with it. And I never understood what an off switch was, that it took a long time for me to finally understand, like, that I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to feed into it. And I learned practices for myself on how to be able to, in a sense, like, control my anger. Not like literally be like, okay, I'm not angry anymore, but be able to figure out clues or hints to be able to give my own mentality a safe word for when I start feeling myself trying to feed into that. So basically today I was thinking that on this subject, if you guys wanted to, you could share an experience of, even if it was whatever something was that you would feed into that you couldn't control, like that affected your brain negatively, and how you were able to practice or veer away from that. Another great example with a few close friends of mine that I have was at one point they were very big party animals, and they had a substance problem where they didn't have an off switch with that. So like they found their own ways and a path or a way of thinking or was just like, no, and gave themselves discipline on how to be able to shut that off. And as soon as they felt themselves starting to rile up, to be like, you know what, nope, we're not doing this right now. I'm not like that, and I just lost my train of thought. I'm not like that, and like we're gonna make a change this time.
So they were able to recognize something that was not really a good behavior or something that was causing another issue, and were able to stop it. Like if you were angry because you couldn't find your shoe, you kind of really wrecked your whole day.
Right, and I would just feed into that, and I wouldn't turn it off. So, like, instead of me sitting there and calming, like, and letting myself calm down, I physically and mentally could not calm down because I did not have those tools to have an off switch on something where I could be like, you know what, it's not a big deal. I'll find my shoe at one point. Let me just grab a different pair of shoes. I know I'm upset that I can't find this one, but it's not the end of the world. Like, before I was able to find the tools to shut that off and be able to calm down and do that, my day was ruined just because of that one tiny incident, and I would feed into it and just keep going throughout the day.
So
yeah, me too.
You have a story or an example of something like that's happened to you?
Well, I do it all the time, but I'm getting a lot. I mean, in the past I've done it all the time where I would just have a thought that I would stick with all day and be angry and upset. And now it's funny, the other day someone at work was complaining about another person, and I get upset with it too, but I was like, you know what? Let's not get upset over something that we can't change it. Let's just go with it, and you know it'll all work itself out. If you can't control the situation, move on. And I think I'm doing a lot of I just started a yoga class, and that's kind of helped me see a lot of different things that are helping me stop, because I need to stop it, you know. But I've been there where I just can't stop. I just go on and on, or I'll say something. My big thing is I'll say something that I think, just stupid stuff. I'll put something on Facebook and I'll be like, oh, God, I shouldn't have put that. Oh, my God, why did I write that? Because I'm trying to be very positive, and people took it as they're feeling sorry for me. I don't want that, you know. And now, I don't know, I've just been doing different things where I actually have been saying, you know what, I can't control it. I'm going to put it in God's hands and let him take care of it, because there's nothing I can do about it, because it's making me sick.
I appreciate that. You know, a lot of people do that with different things, you know, when we get stressed out or something, you know. Sorry, I'm in the house because it's late and we've got the animals.
Yeah, me too.
So we have to make noises. Anyway. Well, Erica knows she's been around when I'll just do a potato chip bins and stuff like that. So she knows we all have a thing that we know that it's not necessarily, you know, a good thing that we might be doing. But the biggest trick is to really recognize when we are in that situation, I believe. You know, one of the things that I've actually done over the course of the years, learning and being part of Time to Play, is I'll find things like Erica also knows, I have this, you know, that say, you know, a reminder to enjoy life. You know, you can have a trigger, something. People use a rubber band, you know, different things that you might carry with you. Some people use a rock or a coin just to remind you when you need to shift your thinking. So that's some sort of a tip or tool that I've picked up along the way. Might be helpful for somebody if, you know, they recognize something, to be able to shift their thinking. So I don't know if you guys have used any type of visual. Yoga is great. Exercise is great.
You know, one thing I thought of tonight.
What?
I did stairs tonight, and literally I was dancing on the stairs because I put all good new music in, and I was driving home and I was still in a good mood, and I'm like, how can you be in a bad mood if you're listening to music, or have a bad thought and be dwelling on something? So I do that now a lot too. I listen to music, or I have to read a positive thought every morning, and it just makes my whole day better. That's what I've been doing lately, and I have to talk to myself throughout the day. But anyway, go ahead.
Did you join the timetoplay.com Facebook group?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so go on timetoplay.com and look for the group page. We have a regular page, but we're not really using it anymore. We're kind of leaning more towards the group page, but there is only positive there. Absolutely. There's different people. They post really great things that they find or some words of wisdom, and it's a really inspirational. People have told me that's their first place they stop every day when they wake up and see what's going on.
I will definitely get on
positive thoughts. So it's
I get
really
most
nice
of my stuff
thing.
from Stacy every day. She'll send it over, some stuff over to me. Most of it,
the same thing on there, but we also have more. So what's cool about that is you can also post, when you find something that's wonderful, because we do, like I have this, everybody has something to offer that can help someone else thought, and if you have a positive thought, certainly, seriously,
that's awesome.
Without chasing each other.
I'll get on that.
One of them. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. I can't even. You can't make this stuff up. Would you stop? Okay, so go ahead, Erica. What else do you want to talk about this evening? we have Dawn. please just sit down. Go ahead, Erica.
I guess the other thing I want to talk about in this is, I know that me and you before we were talking about positive thinking and positive speaking, which that is, especially from what I hear from you ladies too, is a very big part in being able to center yourself and finding a way to have that off switch. Because I know for me, if I didn't wake up and I didn't tell myself specifically, like, today's going to be a good day, or when something happens, as angry as I feel myself getting, being like, no, I'm not going to get angry over this right now. It's frustrating, it's stressful, but I'm not going to do it. Like, those things help so much. And a big thing on how I was able to start doing that is I was at one point I was in just a really bad spot, and I was very depressed, and my brain basically was telling me, like, there's no point in even being nice. There's no point in having that self-control. There's no point in any of that, because everyone already thinks that you're going to be mad, or everyone already thinks that you're crazy, so why are you even going to try and be nice? Like, you might as well.
Wow, that's so true. I felt that way.
Right? Like, at one point you, like, take pride in that, and you take pride in, like, it's more like you start thinking, like, oh, well, it's just because I don't tolerate anything, when in reality you're letting that anger and that depression and feeling like you're worth nothing get in the way, and that ego on, well, if that's what they want, then I'll give that to them. And because of that, like, it makes you feel like there's no point in even trying to do it a different way, because you're not, there's no, like, it literally feels like there's no point. Why even try? So, like, once like those little things start to change, even if like, for me, it took me a while for my anger to actually start being able to control it. And for me, like, I still got angry, I still flipped out, but every morning I told myself, today's going to be a better day, today's going to be a good day. Like, I don't know what's going to be thrown at me, but I got this today. And from constantly telling myself that, and then, like, if my anger did get the best of me, like, just a few days ago, I got so frustrated and so angry, and I haven't gotten as angry as I did, that I actually kicked the table and my TV fell off of the table, and I almost broke my stuff. Where would that have left me? A broken TV and no entertainment, not being able to do anything? Like, that wouldn't have been good. And it was like, I still slip up. I still let my anger get the best of me. But the biggest thing that helped me to be able to start controlling it is just those little baby steps and being able to forgive myself if I do act that way and being able to assess it and just not justifying my actions by putting blame on somebody or something else that could have been a part of how I reacted.
Well, I wrote a book, as you guys know, well, maybe not Brooke, but I know Erica knows, but it's called If I Knew Then and What I Know Now. And I'm actually going to be 50 in another couple of days, and I've learned a lot over these years, and that's why I said it before. I'm really proud of you guys and your thinking, because at your ages, you know, you've made such great strides, and you're not 50 or 60 or 80 years old still working through this stuff, and that's amazing. And there's nothing wrong with any of us. It just takes time for us to realize, I think, and change our thinking patterns. So, and under parting words, I actually wrote, if I knew then what I know now that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but it is also a terrible thing to have. And in all the things that I've been doing and all the research that I've been doing, and in the Pre-Inventor Life program, if anybody is interested in reading the survey, I did this really amazing survey with the help of the superintendent of our school district and a person who's been a director of pupil personnel services for 30 years in Massachusetts. And we did this survey called Pre-Inventor Life, and we've recognized that healthy coping skills and healthy, things that behaviors, healthy, like if we learned how to diffuse our thinking, if we learned how to stop our thinking, if we learned how to change our thinking from when we were as young as possible, that we could possibly learn this stuff, that we would have a more fulfilled and calm, positive, less stressful life. So, I was talking to Erica about what she's speaking, the negative self-talk, and it is the most important thing to recognize, which is exactly what we're saying, when that's happening, and to be able to stop it. And none of us are perfect. We're all human beings, and we get caught up in a moment. There's nothing wrong with that, but the faster we can change and shift, the more we're going to have a better day. Does that make sense to anybody? Because that's how I've come to recognize things at this point. So recognizing that we're that angry, or recognizing, somebody is bothering us and not letting them, like Brooke said, or, because that happens all the time. And not for anything. I still do it. I did it the other day. Somebody sent me an email. And, that's one of the things, like text and emails. You can't know what the person's really saying because it's an email, and just depending on the way the person types it, it could be completely different than what they're really behaving and thinking. And I reacted to an email like, I can't believe this person, and was completely, because I actually called them and I was asking, for clarification, and completely different than what they wrote. Completely different than what they wrote. So if I didn't call them and say, and not angrily, I was very pleasant and say, oh, could you just explain this a little bit more? Like, I would have felt poorly, like, all day because of this situation, which was not even actual. Does that make sense, too? So, especially with texting, see, we didn't have that when I was little. We had to either call the person or we had to stand in front of them to communicate. So this is a new world, and I think a lot of miscommunication happens.
Well, I have a question, though. That was really what was just said, is like, how do you step out of everybody thinking that you're that way and you can't change it? I don't know how to do that. I really don't. That was a really good thing that was brought up, because I don't know how to do that. I feel like
you start changing your behavior, and people will stop thinking that there's some way, because like Erica said, she stopped being angry. And Erica, how did people react to your shift in behavior?
I mean,
are they getting it, Erica? Like, because I feel like nobody's getting me.
You know what? I was completely and totally skeptical at first about it, and, like, it's still, like, I've been doing this for a little over a year now, a different way of, like, thinking and looking at my life, and, like, my best friend of, like, 9 years is sitting next to me, and he's, like, looking at me still to this day, like, no, you're a psychopath. Like, what do you mean, like, peace, love, happiness, and positive thinking? Like, he still gives me those, like, double takes. But, I mean, it works. Like, even though, like, I guess the best example would be, like, me and my mother. We have always had a good relationship as a mother-daughter. Like, she was always there for me. She's not a bad mother at all, but we're very alike. And when she gets stressed out, she's like me. She gets loud, she yells, she screams. So, like, we used to feed off of each other. If she was mad or I was mad, we would snap at each other, and then, like, we both would just go at it. So it's, like, from me switching at first it was almost like everybody in the house didn't know what to do. But maybe, like, after a month or two, like, it was almost like I could feel, like, a different shift in energy in my house where it went from being very tense and, like, worrisome and stressed out to almost, like, a relaxed feeling. Because, like, even though my mom would still freak out, like, when she was stressed, like, it was just a lot more relaxing knowing that it wasn't two people flipping out, or I'm not going to come home and possibly start screaming and yelling and telling everybody it's their fault and they're the worst people in the world. So, like, that took me a few months to get to that level, because from what I understand now is, even though I might have been angry at an action or something that one of my family members said to me that lives with me, which in return I sat there and let myself feed into that and let myself get mad and chose to be like, no, screw them. Like, they want to say this to me, I'll go right back at them because they said this. Instead of looking at it that way and just being like, I got very irrational and flipped out over things that really were nothing, and I'm not doing that anymore. Like, there was such a relief in the house. Like, it
awesome.
felt a lot safer.
It's really awesome that you noticed that.
It takes them a while.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, yelling is a learned behavior. I actually wrote about that in the book, too. And my mother's parents yelled, and my mother yelled. And when I first had my children, I yelled until I realized that it was unhealthy and it wasn't fixing anything. But this is that shift in our thinking and how to handle a situation. And that's the difference between when you recognize and then you choose how you want to handle it, because you can handle it in many ways. You know, you can have an argument. Right. You can have an argument with somebody, like Erica said. You can run out of the house. You can, you know, not come back. Like, you know, you can make a choice that could be a good choice or a bad choice. Everything we do in every moment of the day is a choice. And it really is up to us. It is not up to anybody else how we're going to make that next.
And the other thing, too, which I completely forgot to mention this before, Brooke, that I was getting to was when, like, as we both know, like, people are very skeptical, and we're very skeptical when we're trying to make this change and trying to put that effort and be like, you know what, no, it will be better if I act this way. Who cares if they think I'm this way? This is the way I want to be for myself. What we have to remember is all those times that you're angry, we were kind of we were justifying why we flipped out, why we acted that way. Like, instead of taking blame for how, like, taking apart and how we acted, it was more like we would blame them. So when we're trying to make this change, these people, even though we don't think it, have been very, very hurt over the last months, maybe years, days, weeks, whatever it could be. They're very hurt and still scarred by those reactions, especially if, like, something was unintentional on their part and we ended up flipping out. So they're still very hurt, and they remember all that. So just because we're coming in going, hey, I'm a changed person forgive me and believe me, it's still going to take them just as much time to get used to it as it's going to take us to be able to fully 100% make that change.
Yeah,
so I want to mention that this is an interesting thought. So I read a lot of things by Abraham Hicks. Very interesting. Can look into that if that's of interest. But it's been said by this author, source being a very interesting concept behind Abraham Hicks, but that we're put on this earth to feel good. And that's a very huge judge or gauge for us. Like if, Brooke, when you're behaving a certain way, if that feels good to you, of course, as long as it's a healthy behavior, I want to just preface that, then that's how you're supposed to behave. So if you're behaving a different way because you think people expect you to or, want you to, that's not what you want. You have to behave in the way that feels good to you. And people will adjust to your behavior as you go. And if you're consistent with however you would prefer to feel, then people are going to start to accept you for that too. And, that's something that you have to take into consideration. Like if people expect you to freak out for something and you don't, eventually they'll get used to you not. They might be, they might be
I've had
worried. Good.
I've actually, right now I've kind of stepped out of, I've actually moved away, and my son is with his father right now, and he's the most of my concern, and it's really, I feel like I'm happy. I'm not pleasing anybody right now. I'm just kind of focusing on me. And it's also, I know I feel kind of selfish, but I don't, because me focusing on me is helping my son, Vinny, So, but I'm just sad deep down because I don't know where he's at, like his mind is with everything.
Well,
all I can
that's
do
very
is
brave. It's very brave of you to do what's the best for, your situation. And, that's something, again, that we have to take into consideration, what is best for us and the other people around us, too. Of course, again, in a healthy behavior way, because we are here to make a difference in life, and we are here to make things better, and we are here to fulfill the reason that we're here. And, you're here for a purpose too, Brooke. You have to just move forward in that purpose. And, maybe it's to teach other people, how their behaviors impact, and, to change their behaviors and teach them how to change a behavior, because, my goodness, you sound like you've made some great strides to make you have a better life. That's the whole goal of everything that we're doing, is just that awareness. Like, what is our next step to make things better every single day? So, I don't know, Erica, what else you got up your sleeve over there?
Well, to go in full circle with us making these small changes without even knowing, we're creating an off switch for ourselves to get, if we want to get back to that, everything we just talked about, the anger, changing how we are, having other people believe it, that in itself is creating our self-control, it's creating our off switch. And I'm sure you both have felt it, where it's like you get into that situation that you've been in multiple times before. Your brain is trying to fight with you, the outcome in this one already, so, why even bother? But you don't listen to that, and you actually do it differently. And it literally almost, the best way to describe it, it literally feels like a switch goes off in your head, or like a fuse blows or something, and you're just like, I got this. And, that horrible, evil obstacle that was a situation that used to have us have this really bad, nasty outcome is nothing anymore. And it's like, wow, like I did that. And it's like the biggest relief, and it literally feels like something just snaps in you. And it's letting...
I love it. I love it. I think that that's a great thing. And maybe people could visualize that switch, you know, and if that would be helpful too. You know, take a moment. Remember, we learned that a long time ago. What do you count? You count to 10, right? Before you act. Count to 10 before you speak. Count to 10. Did you guys ever hear that one?
Oh, yes.
I've heard it, but that one to this day will never work for me. There are things that I say that I think sound great in my head, and I'll say them 2 seconds later. I'm like, you know what? Maybe that wasn't the best thing to say. I still have problems thinking before I talk.
Me too. Everybody blames it on me being a Sagittarian because what I hear just comes right out. Like it's like I think it, I hear it, and it just comes right out. I just don't stop to. Anyway.
I hear you on that.
I'm getting better though.
My
I'm
brain,
getting really much better.
My brain thinks fast sometimes. I appreciate that. I blurt out something, and then I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I appreciate that. You know what? Look, we're here. We do the best things that we can, right? Nobody is perfect. Can anybody think of one person that's perfect? I can't think of anybody that's perfect.
No.
So every day is an opportunity to just make us happy, and, you know, that's what I strive for. I always say, all I want to do is just have a nice day. That's what I live for every day, just have a nice day and appreciate something. Like yesterday I was driving. We live on Long Island. I drove to Montauk for a meeting. It was far, but it was beautiful. And I kept looking at something that was beautiful in my 2 hours of driving, you know, to just keep positive and keep moving forward. And, you know, that's also something, if something is a negative situation at that very moment, to just try to stop and think of something positive and good, I think is always really an important thing as well. And, you know, maybe a support team sometimes. You know, we're not alone creatures, you know, we're social people. So maybe having somebody that is a good, like Erica's 9-year-long friend, you know, is wonderful to have in case you need somebody to talk to. And I think that that's an important thing. So
it really is, especially if you have those friends that instead of enabling or feeding into why you're upset will actually sit down and be like, no, you are being a crazy person because of this reason, and you need to stop stomping your feet and get over it. Like my friend, we have gotten to, I have been pissed off to the point of no return, and he has literally been like, all right, so you're going to stop now and shut up and not act like this because it's not all the other person's fault and you're being crazy. And, like, having people like that in my life instead of being like, yeah, your mom's mean and screw her, and it, like, not having someone that's enabling that and having someone that will actually sit and be like, no, this is why you're wrong, and be that third-party view is one of the biggest blessings in the world. My aunt, actually, she's really funny. She's very big into all of this, too. And one of the things that she'll do is if I'm stomping my feet and I'm all upset and I'm like, my life sucks, she'll look at me and go, your V is showing. And what that means is she's basically telling me you're acting like a little victim and you need to stop right now.
Oh, my gosh, I love that. That's too funny.
No, this is true. Back for a second to think too.
That's
awesome.
That's too funny. I actually referenced, there's a quote, Joel Osteen, who I had read some years ago too. I don't necessarily follow him anymore, but it was a time when I thought, you know, it's good ideas and stuff. And this is interesting. There's so many people that have been there, done that, and written things, you know. But he wrote, be a victor and not a victim.
Yeah.
So that came into my mind when you said that. And, you know, that's a very visual thing also. You know, the front of the cover of the book is a person standing on a mountain as a victor. You know, victory on the mountain, victory. And personally, I prefer to be a victor, not a victim. I think that there's just a lot more benefit to, you know, not that you're going to, quote, unquote, win every day or every moment of your life, and that's not the goal. But, you know, having a great day is, I personally, like I said, that's my goal every day. How can I have a great day? What can I do so
Erica,
I can have a great day?
Yes.
My friend the other day, it's so funny that you said that. Really, I was thinking this morning, like, connecting with people to me is the most important thing, because I don't have a lot of family. And my best friend Shelby, since I was like 12 years old or 13, whatever. Anyway, I put something on Facebook, and it was like I was the victim, like, and I didn't mean to. To me, it was a positive thing, but she took the time out and literally cried to me and said, "I don't want you doing that anymore. You're too beautiful for that." And she said something that I didn't even know, because she's a nurse and I'm a bartender, right? And she's like, "You've done so many more things than I've ever accomplished in my life." And it just made me cry, and it made me think. And now, ever since, I've changed my whole attitude. Like, wow, really?
Oh,
you know?
That's awesome.
Just awesome. But anyway.
And I mean, it's definitely hard, like, especially with all this media, not to do that to yourself and put yourself into that where either you become a victim or something like that, where it's like your normal day activities can seem boring and like, oh, I'm uninteresting and my life is just routine, blah, blah, blah. But to another person, it can be, wow, look at all these amazing things this person does, or they do all this
Has
stuff. Like, for me,
accomplished.
exactly. Like, for me, I think it's very cliche and silly, and I know how to speak Mandarin. Not fluently, but I know how to communicate. And to me, I'm like, that's so boring, because I've been doing it for the last, 8 years of my life. Meanwhile, somebody that just meets me, it's like, oh, my gosh, that's so cool. How did you ever learn that? And it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like we have to appreciate those things that we have, because even though they're boring to us, they could be the reason why we're the stars in someone else's eyes.
Right. Well, after she said it, I'm going, well, like, what have I done? And I'm like, well, dummy, you had a kid. You married, I married, and I had houses, and I remodeled, I did things. And I'm like, yeah, I have done a lot. And it took her to say that to me, because I've been so down in the dumps, But just her saying that changed, like, that night, I did things differently for the next few days, and I feel different. I feel happy, and I am good, awesome. Anyway.
Well, just ending thought, something else that you can do is, and I know Stacy does this every day. She puts down something she's thankful for. She actually posts them on Facebook a lot of days. But, take a pen and a piece of paper and tape it to the refrigerator or the mirror in the bathroom, and every day put down something you're thankful for. And like Erica's saying, that's tremendously important, being appreciative, because you can live your life wishing you were or had something else. But you know what? How many people are wishing they were you? And
absolutely.
We be thankful for what we are and who we are, because every person is unique and amazing, and we shouldn't wish we were someone else. We shouldn't wish we had something else. We need to love and be what we are now.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So, with that, I'm going to close out the Empowered Half Hour for this night. I don't have next week's schedule with me. I forgot to look before I started. Do you remember, Erica, what next week is?
I am actually not too sure on that.
Okay, so whoever would like to join us next week, we'll have some other good discussions. Stacy will be back.
It will be awesome.
And actually, next week is Thanksgiving.
Oh,
is it next week
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, no, we're not going to be able to talk on Thanksgiving. I think we'll have
that
to
makes
skip
sense.
next
Why
week.
I don't know what's next week.
All right, that's a good reason. All right, so everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And, if you ever have anything, you're welcome to give our office a call at 631-331-2675. If there's a topic that you want to join in on, we welcome that. You can also email info@timetoplay.com. Contact information is on the website. And again, we are a not-for-profit corporation that is here to encourage people to love their life. And we're right now putting a listing of sponsors together, so we'll be having that posted within the next few days. And we're very excited that our sponsors and the generosity will enable us to continue this type of program and other programs that we'll be able to provide to everyone so they can enjoy their life and love life. So thank you guys very much for joining us. And Brooke, keep up the good work. Clay and
Thanks.
Erica, you're brilliant, rational, fabulous. And
thank
love
you.
you, Erica.
I love you too.
Completely appreciate you guys and your abilities to, you never know how much what you said today will help somebody else. Nobody's alone. Everybody's been there and done that. So thank you guys.
Thanks.
That's it.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.